let's look at the playoff chances for our San Francisco 49ers. Yes, the 49ers got back on track with that win on Sunday. They're still sitting at 3-4, and it did come against a suspect Bears team, if we're being honest about it, even if it is a top 10 defense for Chicago. Even their above average defense was missing a key piece in Khalil Mack, so you could criticize that. If you were forced to make a wager today, which way are you leaning after Sunday? Are you more confident that the 49ers can make a legit push for a playoff spot, that seventh wild card that may require 10-7 or 11-6, or this team is lucky to finish the season above 500?
I'm leaning towards the playoff spot. And my whole argument has been the talent has been there. And for a couple of weeks, I kept saying, just wait, they're going to come around. Just wait, they're going to come around. The talent is there. Like, my whole thing is that if I was a fan of a team, if I was running a team, had any involvement with a team, I would much rather be a talented team that has discipline issues than be an untalented team with less skill that's extremely disciplined and is very sound with their execution.
Yeah, because one is fixable mid-season, right? And the other is not.
Precisely that. So I think that the 49ers are on the right track. I do think that it always comes back to this, and I hate to say it really is dependent on what they get out of the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Because I think the rest of the roster is talented enough that they will be able to be in almost any game. And that's the thing is, if you go back, yeah, they lost to the Colts by 12, but they were in that game till the very end. They had plenty of chances to take control of that game. They obviously lose the Arizona game by 1 score. They lose the Seattle game by 1 score. That was a game they had control of early on. And then the Green Bay game, they lose because Aaron Rodgers is just, in my opinion, the best thrower of the football to ever live. And he makes a throw on that first throw to Devontae Adams over Fred Warner. That's just a generational. I don't think the coverage was bad. I don't think the defense was out of position. It was just an all-time play. So
freaking ridiculous throw. Absolutely. Ridiculous.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my whole thing is that I think that the 49ers have been right there. And again, I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, they almost won these games, because guess what? Almost winning games doesn't matter in the standings. I totally understand that. But it does lend me to be a bit optimistic with my projections going forward, because we saw on Sunday what it looks like when they're able to put it all together. They only put it together for one half and they scored 33 points. If they can get it together for 60 minutes, I think they can run with any team in the league. And especially once they're going to get guys like George Kittle back, they're going to hopefully get Dee Ford back. And I think Azeez Al-Shair, who quietly has been one of the best players on the entire team this year, back. We're starting to see Brandon Ayuk get involved. If all these pieces start to come together, I don't see why they can't make a run at that playoff spot and maybe give a team a hard time in Wild Card Weekend and maybe steal a win. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. I'm not sitting here with aspirations of them. I'm not going to go run and buy Super Bowl tickets this year. But I do think that they are a team that does have what it takes to get to that 10-win mark and at least start building some baseline consistency as a team that needs to be. And I don't want to say they need to be respected, because I do believe that teams around the league respect the talent the 49ers have and respect the offensive acumen that Kyle Shanahan has. But I do think that they need to get some equity with this fan base, particularly because the 49ers have one of the biggest brands in sports. They have fans everywhere, and they not only have fans, they have damn good fans who have been sticking with this team through a lot of turbulent seasons.
Some rough years over the last 20, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm 26, so this has been most of my life. I grew up going to games at Candlestick every Sunday when they were just awful. And I wouldn't trade those memories for the world. But you know what? It would be nice to see that reverse and start to see some, consistent years. And that all starts with just making the playoffs. And that was my whole argument going into the season, was I had a discussion with a few people like, what are your expectations for the year? Just trying to gauge fan interest. And a lot of people were basically saying Super Bowl or bust. And I was kind of the mindset like, hey, if you make the playoffs, to me, that's a victory. There is so much turnover in the NFL. And I think people get spoiled by teams like Seattle and New England, where they're just in the playoffs, it seems like every year.
Yes.
Those are the exceptions. Those aren't the rules. And I think that the 49ers would do, it would be great for them moving forward just to get into the playoffs. And if they were able to win a game on Wild Card Weekend, I'm not a huge believer of stuff carrying over from year to year, because you have a new roster, a new coaching staff, all these things change year to year. But I think more so for the fans, I think it would start to give the fans a little bit of belief of, okay, that 2019 season wasn't a fluke. We have a strong team. We snuck into the playoffs. Now we have this dynamite, electric talent, a 22-year-old quarterback with a rocket arm who can run. And it really starts to create some optimism moving forward. So I hope that they can pull it off. selfishly as a fan, but more so, like I said, this fan base deserves nothing but good things, and it would be really nice to see them start to pump out a perennial winner that's in that playoff discussion year after year.
Yes, it would be nice. And I think you're right. You hit on that idea of the talented roster and the lack of consistency. And that leads to great frustration for 49ers fans because they can see with their own two eyes. They hear from the national media that this is a talented roster. They hear the continual reminders that this is a genius offensive play designer in the head coach. And sure, there are problems with consistency. The 49ers have struggled with injuries, no question about it. But at some point, you have to have those results. And this feels like a year where the results truly matter. And I think that the pressure for the front office, the organization has certainly built. Their customers are the fan base. The fan base are extremely volatile at this point because of all those factors we just mentioned. So they do owe something to the fan base. They do owe pushing for the playoffs because that is a huge lift. And let's not forget that this is a one and done system in the NFL. Anything can happen on any given Sunday because you play one game against the other team. COVID could knock out one of their star players. Injury can deplete a roster. Someone could have to travel east and start slowly, as the 49ers did against the Bears. It's not a best of 7 series where oftentimes the better team wins because of the sample size. This is an incredibly small sample size. And therefore, you never know what's going to happen. And I think the fans, like Manny did here, based on the talent level alone, Manny says, if the 49ers get healthy, make the playoffs, no way the second or third seed wants a piece of this team. That's how I see it, that if they can get right, get healthy, get some momentum going into this, it at least creates the excitement that we as 49er fans crave, because that's the thrill of this game. And I don't think any 49er fan should shy away from hopes of getting that wild card spot, of sneaking into the playoffs this year. That's where my hopes are right now. That's not where my expectations are, because I think it's going to be difficult. But after this next 2-game stretch, we will really know a lot about this San Francisco 49ers team. They're going up against tough divisional rivals this week against Arizona and the following week against LA. And that will give us a great taste of where we are going forward. And I'm psyched that you're with me on this playoff bound room for optimism here. Well,